So in this part we will study transfer of heat. So you might have observed that a frying pan becomes hot when we kept it on a flame. Means अगर हम एक flame पर, गैस पर, बर्नर पर अगर हमने एक फ्राई पैन रखा, then you observe that it becomes hot. Why? Because the heat passes flame to the utensils. Means heat कहाँ pass हो रहा है? हमारे बर्तन पे, utensil पे. That's why it is hot. And what happens if we remove, when the pan is removed from the fire, it slowly cools down. So why does it cool down? So from this experiment we come to know that heat is transferred from the pan to the surroundings, and we can understand that heat flows from a hotter object to a colder object. Understood? Now in the next part, next step, we study how does the heat flow. So heat कैसे flow किया? So let us investigate. So how we will investigate? We will do an interesting experiment, that is 4.6 of your NCERT book. In this experiment, as you can see from the figure, we take a rod and a flat strip of metal of aluminum or iron. Understood? You can see from this. Now fix small pieces at equal distances like this. Okay. Now clamp the rod to stand. हमें इस rod को stand करना है. So how will it stand? So we will take the help of two bricks and we will make it stand. So what do you observe? And what happens to the wax pieces? And do these pieces begins to fall? Yes. But which piece falls first? सबसे पहले कौन सा wax piece fall होगा? The first one. So what we find? We find that the nearest to the flame, the heat is transferred much faster than the wax pieces which is far from the flame. So this is a process, and what does process called? That process is called conduction. Conduction means the process by which heat is transferred from a hotter end to the colder is called conduction. And the materials which allow heat to pass through easily, जिसके थ्रू हीट पास हो जाता है, उसे हम क्या कहते हैं? कंडक्टर्स ऑफ हीट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल aluminium, iron and copper. Through this metal the heat can easily pass through, and materials which do not allow heat to pass through are called the poor conductors of heat, and also we call it insulators. An example are plastic and wood. Now you think that water and air are poor conductors of heat. Water और air तो हमारे poor conductor है, but how we feel the heat? इनमें फिर heat कैसे transfer होता है? Okay, ये इनमें तो हमने कोई contact भी नहीं डाला, but we feel ना hotter air and the colder water. How does we feel? So for this we will do another experiment, that is 4.8, and in this experiment हमने एक round flask लिया जिसका एक जो उनका bottom था वो round था. Now we fill it 2/3 with water and इसे हमने एक tripod पे रखा है, and हमने इसे तब तक still रहने दिया जब जैसे water comes in a still position. Now place a crystal of potassium permanganate at the bottom. हमने इसके bottom पे रख दिया potassium permanganate and इसे हमने फिर slowly heat किया. So doing this experiment you can write your observation. What do we observe? We observe that the water gets heated, and this is because of convection. The mode of heat transfer is known as convection. Okay, and the process continues till the whole water gets heated. And so this activity is for the water. And now how does the heat travel in air? Let's find out. How does the heat travel in air? So let's do another experiment. Okay. So we have two questions in mind. How does the heat travel in air, and in which direction does the smoke go? So we will do this experiment, the candle one experiment, but be careful, keep your hands at a safe distance from the flame so that they do not get burned. Now हमने एक कैंडल बर्न किया and one hand on the top and one hand on the side. So क्या हमें equally heat feel हुआ? No. So हमने if not, which hand feels hotter and why? So हमने find किया कि the hand towards the top get heated much and comparison to the हमारा जो hand जो side में था. So what we find? We find that the air gets heated by obviously convection mode से, और top पे हमें ज़्यादा heat feel हुआ and sides पे less. Okay, and for इसी को हम एक एग्जाम्पल हम लेते हैं, हम अपने environment पे, like in our coastal areas, जो हमारे coastal areas होते हैं उनमें heat और air कैसे travel करता है. So during the day, दिन के टाइम पे क्या होता है? The land gets heated faster than the water and the air over the land becomes hotter and rises up. Means जो हमारा जो air है जो land पर है वो it gets hotter faster और ये ऊपर उठता है. उसके बाद उसको cover करने के लिए हमारा जो air है from the sea it rushes in towards the land to take its place, and the warm air from the land moves towards the sea to complete the cycle. Understand? And same happens, means opposite happens at the night. At night what happens? It is exactly the reverse. The water cools down more slowly than the land, so the cool air from the land moves towards the sea. From these arrows you can easily understand. See these arrows. So what we find? We find two terms, sea breeze and land breeze. The air from the sea is called the sea breeze, जो ऐसे travel कर रहा है, and the cool air from the land moves toward the sea. This is called land breeze. Interesting and easy. Now another interesting phenomena is how you feel heat when you are outside of your house. Means when we come out in the sun we feel warm. जब हम बाहर निकलते तो हमें warm लगता है, but it cannot reach by. But यहाँ पर हमारा conduction और convection कोई भी mode नहीं है. There is no medium. So how we feel hot in the sun? So we feel hot in the sun because of radiation. So radiation is a transfer of heat without any medium. Means अगर हमें without किसी medium के, neither air, water or some physical, the transfer of heat happens is because of radiation. We study little bit in detail, like this nowadays you can see at your home also, like when we sit in front of a room heater we get heat by this process, and a hot utensil kept away from the flame cools down as it transfers heat to the surroundings by radiation. So these are two examples of radiation. अगर हम heater के पास बैठे और blower के पास, then we feel warm, and when we remove any fan from the heat it gets cooler, it cools down. And in the same way our body too gives heat to the surrounding and receives heat. Means हमारा body भी gives करता है heat and also receives heat from by radiation. Understand? So what we find? We find all hot bodies radiate heat. And when the heat falls on some object, a part of heat is reflected and a part is observed or maybe transmitted. and as a conclusion, the temperature of the object increases due to the absorbed part of the heat. मीन्स किसी भी अगर कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट अगर उसने हीट को एब्जॉर्ब किया है तो ऑब्वियसली उसका टेम्परेचर भी इंक्रीज होगा. नाउ नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज kinds of clothes we wear in summer and winter. So here are some examples like our summer clothing and winter clothing. But in summer what we prefer light color and cotton clothes, and in winter we usually wear dark color clothes. Why? So let us find out with an experiment. So we take 2 cans. ठीक है, 2 आइडेंटिकल कैंस हम लेते हैं एंड इन द फर्स्ट एक्टिविटी हमने एक को ब्लैक पेंट किया, एक को वाइट आउटर में पेंट किया एंड उसमें हम इक्वल अमाउंट्स ऑफ दोनों में वाटर फिल करते हैं एंड लीव देम इन ए मिड डे सन फॉर अबाउट एन आवर. हम उसे धूप में 1 घंटे के लिए छोड़ देते हैं. नाउ व्हाट वी फाइंड, अगर हमने उसका टेम्परेचर मेजर किया देन डू यू फाइंड एनी डिफरेंस? थिंक ऑफ द डिफरेंस. So you will find that the water present in the dark can is much hotter as compared to the lighter can. Again, इन दोनों कैन के साथ ही हम एक दूसरा एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं. Fill the same 2 cans with the same amount of hot water at the same temperature. हमने अगेन उसमें सेम अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर फिल किया और उसे सेम टेम्परेचर पे रखा, से अबाउट 60 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. नाउ लीव द कैंस एट अ रूम टेम्परेचर और रूम शेड. नाउ आफ्टर 10-15 मिनट्स नोट द टेम्परेचर. डू यू फाइंड एनी डिफरेंस? यस. अगेन the water present at the darker can is warmer and as compared to the lighter. So what we find? We find that the dark surface absorb more heat and light color clothes reflect most of it. Understand? मीन्स जो भी हमारा डार्क सरफेस होता है वो मोर हीट एब्जॉर्ब करता है, लाइट कलर जो है वो हमारा वो हीट को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है. सो दैट इज वाई उनका टेम्परेचर भी डाउन होता है एंड वी फील कंफर्टेबल. फॉर दिस रीजन ओनली आवर वुलन क्लोथ्स कीप अस वार्म इन विंटर बिकॉज wool is a poor conductor of heat and air is trapped between the wool fibers. अगर उसमें एयर ट्रैप हो जाए, एयर उनके वुल फाइबर्स के बीच में हो जाता है और दिस एयर प्रिवेंट्स द फ्लो ऑफ हीट फ्रॉम आवर बॉडी टू कोल्ड सराउंडिंग एंड सो वी फील वार्म. इंटरेस्टिंग. So here are your woolen clothes examples.